If you're waiting for perfect conditions, you'll be waiting forever. Start now, push through, and create your own opportunities. I know how it feels to be in the trenches. You're working hard, you're putting in the hours, but you're exhausted. You feel broke, tired, and sometimes it seems like nothing is paying off. The days are long, and it can feel like you're all alone in this journey. But let me tell you something important. This is where the real growth happens. In today's video, we're going to talk about pushing through those moments when you feel like giving up, when you're questioning whether it's even worth it. I want to remind you that those tough times are not signs that you should quit. They're exactly what you need to keep going. If you're tired of feeling like you're not making progress, or if you feel like no one understands how hard you're working, this message is for you. Stay with me, because I'm going to show you how to keep going, even when it feels like everything is against you. By the end of this video, you'll have the clarity and strength to push through your toughest days, knowing that every step you take is bringing you closer to where you want to be. This journey isn't easy, but it will be worth it. Let's dive in. Number 1. The hardest road leads to the greatest reward. Life is not going to hand you success. It's not going to make it easy for you. In fact, the road to anything worthwhile is often the hardest one to take. And that's why most people never get there. They look at the struggle, the long nights, the sacrifices, and they turn back. But let me tell you something. If you can learn to embrace the hard road, if you can push through when everything in you is telling you to stop, then you will get to a place most people never will. I want you to think about the people you admire, the people who have done something meaningful with their lives. Do you think they had it easy? Do you think they just woke up one day with success handed to them? No, they went through pain. They went through rejection. They had moments where they thought about giving up, but they didn't. That's the difference. The hardest road will test you. It will make you doubt yourself. It will make you wonder if you're even on the right path. You'll be working late nights while everyone else is sleeping. You'll be sacrificing your time while others are out having fun. You'll be exhausted, frustrated, and questioning whether all of this is even worth it. And here's what I've learned. Most people quit in those moments. They tell themselves, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe it's just too hard. And so they turn back. They take the easier road. They settle for a life that is comfortable, but not extraordinary. But the ones who push through, the ones who keep going, even when they're tired, even when they feel like they have nothing left, those are the ones who reach the top. You see, success is not just about talent. It's not just about intelligence. It's about endurance. It's about endurance. It's about refusing to give up, no matter how difficult things get. It's about showing up every single day, even when you don't feel like it, even when you don't see results, even when it feels like nothing is working. I've met so many people who had all the potential in the world, but never made it because they couldn't handle the struggle. They wanted success, but they didn't want to go through the pain that comes with it. They wanted the rewards, but they weren't willing to pay the price. And so they gave up too soon. But I've also met people who started with nothing, no money, no connections, no special advantages, but they had something powerful inside of them. They had the will to keep going. They had the discipline to keep pushing forward when things got tough. And because of that, they made it. That's why I say the hardest road leads to the greatest reward. Because it's not just about where you're going, it's about who you become along the way. Every time you push through a challenge, you grow stronger. Every time you refuse to quit, you build resilience. Every time you get up after being knocked down, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. There's something powerful about knowing that you didn't take shortcuts, that you didn't look for the easy way out, that you earned every bit of success that came your way. That's what makes the reward so much sweeter. But most people will never know that feeling because they quit too soon. They stop when it gets hard. They convince themselves that it's not worth it. And so they never reach their full potential. I don't want that to be you. I want you to keep going, even when you're tired. I want you to keep pushing, even when you feel like giving up. Because the truth is, you are capable of more than you think. But you'll never know that unless you keep moving forward. Think about where you are right now. Maybe you're struggling. Maybe you're broke. Maybe you feel like you're running in place, putting in all this effort, but not seeing results. I know that feeling. And I know how tempting it is to stop. But I'm telling you, this is the part of the journey that matters the most. This is the part where most people quit. And this is the part where you have to decide whether you're going to be like everyone else, or whether you're going to be the one who keeps going. Because if you can push through this, if you can stay committed even when it's hard, then you will reach the other side. And when you do, you'll look back and realize that every struggle, every sacrifice, every moment of doubt was worth it. The hardest road leads to the greatest reward. Keep walking, keep pushing, keep believing, because your breakthrough is coming. And when it does, you'll know that you earned it. Number 2, the power of showing up every day. A lot of people talk about success like it's some big secret, like there's some hidden formula that only a few lucky people get to learn. But I'll tell you something I've learned over the years. Success isn't about luck, and it isn't about secrets. It's about one thing: showing up every day. That's it. Day after day, no matter how you feel, no matter what obstacles are in your way, you show up and do the work. But most people don't want to hear that. They want shortcuts. They want instant results. They want to do something for a week and see their entire life change. And when that doesn't happen, they quit. They tell themselves it's not working. They look for something else, some new idea, some new trick, and they repeat that cycle over and over again, never sticking with anything long enough to see it pay off. That's why so many people never reach their full potential. It's not because they're not talented. It's not because they don't have what it takes. It's because they don't stick with it. They don't show up every day and put in the work, especially when it gets hard, especially when they don't feel like it. I want you to think about something. If you started today and you made even a small improvement every single day, where would you be a year from now? 5 years from now? Most people don't think that far ahead. They get discouraged because they don't see progress right away, so they stop. But the ones who understand this, they stay in the game. They keep showing up, even when they don't see immediate results, because they know that consistency is the key. And let me tell you, there will be days when you don't feel like showing up. There will be days when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when you feel like nothing is working. That's when most people quit. But that's also when you have the opportunity to separate yourself from everyone else. Because if you can push through those moments, if you can show up even on the hardest days, then you are going to win. The people who make it to the top, they're not the ones who only work when they feel motivated. They're the ones who show up regardless. They do what needs to be done, even when it's the last thing they feel like doing. That's what discipline is. That's what separates the successful from the ones who never quite get there. I've met so many people over the years who had big dreams, big ideas. They'd get excited. They'd start strong, but then something would happen. Maybe they'd hit a roadblock. Maybe they'd go a few weeks without seeing results. And instead of pushing through, they'd stop. They'd convince themselves that maybe it wasn't meant to be. They'd move on to something else, and the cycle would repeat. And then I've met people who weren't the most talented, who didn't have all the advantages, but they had one thing: the ability to show up every single day and do the work, no matter what. And those are the people who succeeded, because they didn't stop when it got hard. They didn't wait for motivation to come back. They understood that progress is made through consistency, not through occasional bursts of effort. Think about your own life. Where are you stopping yourself? Where are you waiting for the right moment, the right feeling, the right conditions? I'll tell you the truth. There is no perfect moment. There is no magic feeling that's going to suddenly make everything easy. If you want to change your life, you have to decide that you're going to show up every day, no matter what. And listen, I get it. Some days are tough. Some days you're exhausted. Some days you don't see the point. But those are the most important days to show up. Because when you push through those moments, you build something far more valuable than motivation. You build discipline. And discipline is what's going to carry you through when motivation fades. I know some of you are feeling stuck right now. You're wondering why things aren't happening faster. You're wondering if it's even worth it. But let me tell you, every great success story starts with someone who refused to quit. Someone who kept showing up when it would have been easier to walk away. So I want you to make a commitment to yourself. Decide that you're going to show up every single day, no matter what. Decide that you're not going to let your feelings dictate your actions. Decide that you're going to be the kind of person who does the work, even when it's hard, even when you don't see results right away. Because if you can do that, if you can stay consistent, if you can keep showing up, then one day you're going to look back and realize that every step, every effort, every time you pushed through when you didn't feel like it all added up to something incredible. Number 3, the truth about struggle. It's a test, not a punishment. Life is going to test you. That's a guarantee. It's going to put obstacles in your way. It's going to challenge your patience, your strength, and your belief in yourself. And when that happens, most people start to question everything. They wonder, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? They think struggle is a punishment. They think it means they're on the wrong path. But I want to tell you something important today. Struggle is not a punishment. It's a test. It's life asking you, how bad do you really want it? Most people don't pass that test. They get knocked down a few times and decide maybe it's not meant to be. They convince themselves that if something is truly meant for them, it should come easy. But that's not how it works. Nothing worth having comes without resistance. Nothing great is ever achieved without struggle. Look at anyone who has accomplished something significant, and you'll see a story of perseverance. You'll see someone who kept going when most people would have stopped. I remember when I first started out, I didn't have much. I was struggling. There were days when I questioned everything. I wondered if I was wasting my time, if I was making the right decisions. But one thing I never did, I never gave myself permission to quit. I told myself that as long as I kept going, as long as I kept learning, improving, and pushing forward, eventually things would turn in my favor. And they did. But only because I stayed in the game long enough for that to happen. See, struggle is a test of endurance. It's testing your commitment. It's asking you, are you willing to keep going, even when you don't see the results yet? Because if you can answer yes to that, then you're on your way. But if you let the struggle convince you to give up, then you never find out what could have been on the other side of it. That's the difference between people who succeed and people who don't. It's not talent. It's not intelligence. It's not luck. It's persistence. It's the ability to push through when things get hard. Think about the last time you struggled with something. Maybe it was a business you tried to start, a skill you wanted to learn, or a goal you set for yourself. Did you push through the difficult moments, or did you stop? Because I guarantee you, the people who make it in life are not the ones who had an easy road. They are the ones who embraced the struggle, who saw it as part of the process instead of a sign to stop. It's easy to feel discouraged when things aren't going your way. It's easy to look around and see other people succeeding and wonder why it's not happening for you. But here's what you need to remember. Every successful person you see had their own struggles. They had moments when they felt like nothing was working. They had days when they wanted to quit, but they kept going. They stayed in the game. And because of that, they eventually broke through. You have to make that same decision. You have to decide that no matter how hard it gets, you are going to keep moving forward. You have to remind yourself that struggle is temporary, but quitting is permanent. If you give up, that's it. Game over. But if you keep going, if you refuse to let struggle break you, then eventually you will break through. Most people let struggle define them. They let failure convince them they're not good enough. But that's a mistake. Failure is not a stop sign. It's just part of the process. Every failure is teaching you something. Every setback is making you stronger. Every obstacle is an opportunity to grow. If you can shift your mindset and see struggle as a test instead of a punishment, everything changes. You might be struggling right now. Maybe you're in a situation where nothing seems to be going your way. Maybe you feel like you've been pushing and pushing, but you're not seeing the results. And I get it. That's frustrating. But I want you to ask yourself one question. Are you going to let this struggle stop you, or are you going to use it to make you stronger? Because that's what it comes down to. You don't control everything that happens to you, but you do control how you respond to it. You do control whether you keep going or whether you let it break you. And let me tell you, most people quit right before they're about to break through. They stop because they don't see results yet, not realizing that if they had just held on a little longer, if they had just pushed through that one more challenge, everything would have changed. So I want you to make a decision today. Decide that you are not going to let struggle stop you. Decide that no matter what happens, no matter how hard it gets, you will keep moving forward. Decide that you will prove to yourself and to the world that you are stronger than anything life throws at you. Because if you can do that, there is nothing you can't achieve. The test is simple. Will you keep going when things get tough? If the answer is yes, then you're on the right path. Keep pushing, keep working, keep showing up. And one day you'll look back and realize that the struggle wasn't there to stop you. It was there to make you strong enough to handle what's coming next. Number 4, you don't need permission to chase your dreams. You don't need someone to tell you it's okay to go after the life you want. Too many people are waiting. They're waiting for someone to believe in them. They're waiting for a sign. They're waiting for the right moment. But while they wait, time keeps moving. The days turn into weeks. The weeks turn into months. And before they know it, years have passed, and they're still in the same place. Not because they didn't have potential, not because they didn't have the ability, but because they kept waiting instead of acting. Nobody is going to come and hand you permission. Nobody is going to show up at your door and say, "It's your time now." You can go after what you want. If you're waiting for approval, you might be waiting forever. The truth is, the only person who can give you permission is you. The only person who decides when you start is you. If you want to make a change, if you want to build something for yourself, if you want to create a better future, then you have to stop asking and start doing. Because the longer you wait, the more you'll regret the time you lost. Think about how many people never reach their potential simply because they doubt themselves. They have dreams, they have ideas, they have things they want to do, but they let fear stop them. They let the opinions of others hold them back. They think, what if I fail? What if people judge me? But what they don't think about is this. What if they succeed? What if they actually make it? What if everything they've ever wanted is on the other side of just taking the first step? That's the real question. But most people never ask it because they're too busy focusing on what could go wrong. You don't need permission to start. You don't need to wait for the perfect conditions. Because let me tell you, the perfect conditions don't exist. There will always be challenges. There will always be reasons to wait. But waiting won't get you where you want to go. Action will. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you can start moving forward. Some people hesitate because they're afraid of what others will think. They're worried about criticism. They're afraid of looking foolish. But let me tell you something. People are going to have opinions no matter what you do. If you play it safe, they'll say you're not ambitious enough. If you take risks, they'll say you're crazy. If you fail, they'll say they saw it coming. And if you succeed, they'll say you got lucky. So if people are going to talk, no matter what, why let that stop you? Why let that be the reason you don't go after what you want? You can't live your life based on what other people might say. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. You're the one who has to live with the choices you make. And if you let fear of judgment keep you from chasing your dreams, you're going to wake up one day full of regret. Regret is a terrible thing to live with. It's worse than failure. It's worse than any mistake you could make. Because regret means you never even tried. It means you let fear win. It means you let time slip away, knowing you could have done more. Don't let that be your story. Don't let that be the reason you never reach your full potential. Think about the people who inspire you. The ones who have done great things. The ones who have built something from nothing. Do you think they waited for permission? Do you think they sat around waiting for someone to tell them it was okay to go after their dreams? No, they started before they were ready. They took action even when they were scared. They moved forward even when they didn't have all the answers. That's what separates them from the people who never start. And that's the mindset you need to have if you want to create something great. You don't need permission. You need courage. You need determination. You need to decide that your dreams are worth the risk. Because nothing happens until you take action. Nothing changes until you make a decision. And that decision has to come from you. Not from your family, not from your friends, not from society, from you. Some people will support you. Some won't. Some will believe in you. Some won't. But none of that matters as long as you believe in yourself. Because at the end of the day, the only person who has to live with your choices is you. The only person who has to wake up and look in the mirror is you. So don't let doubt stop you. Don't let fear keep you stuck. Don't waste another day waiting for permission that's never coming. If you have a dream, chase it. If you have a goal, work for it. If you want something more for your life, start today. Because every day you wait is a day you can never get back. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start. You are capable of more than you think. You have more strength, more resilience, more potential than you realize. But none of that matters if you don't take action. None of that will mean anything if you let fear and doubt hold you back. Number 5, the importance of taking action. Even when you're scared, fear stops too many people from taking action. It keeps them stuck in the same place. Year after year, they think about what they want. They dream about it. They talk about it. But when it comes time to act, they freeze. They wait. They hesitate. And in that hesitation, they lose time. They lose momentum. They lose opportunities that may never come again. You have to understand something. Fear is normal. Everyone feels it. The difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck is not the absence of fear. It's the ability to move forward despite it. It's the ability to act, even when your hands are shaking and your voice is uncertain. It's the willingness to step into the unknown, even when you're scared. Most people think they need confidence before they take action. They think they need to feel ready before they start. But that's not how it works. Confidence comes after action, not before. You build confidence by doing. You build confidence by proving to yourself that you can handle challenges, that you can figure things out, that you are capable of more than you think. Think about a time in your life when you were scared to do something, but you did it anyway. Maybe it was speaking in front of a crowd. Maybe it was taking a new job. Maybe it was starting something on your own. At first you were nervous, you had doubts. But once you did it, you realized it wasn't as bad as you thought. You realized you were stronger than you believed. That's how confidence works. It doesn't come from thinking. It comes from doing. The problem is, most people never get to that point because they let fear stop them before they even start. They let their minds run wild with all the worst-case scenarios. They think about what could go wrong. They focus on failure, and that fear keeps them paralyzed. But what if instead of focusing on failure, you focused on what could go right? What if you asked yourself, what if I succeed? What if this works? What if this changes my life? Fear is just a thought. It's not real until you give it power. And the way you take away its power is by taking action. Action weakens fear. Action gives you proof that you are stronger than the things that scare you. Every time you take a step forward, your fear gets smaller. Every time you push yourself, you build a little more courage. The people who achieve great things are not fearless. They just don't let fear control them. They don't wait until they feel brave. They don't wait until the fear goes away. They act in spite of it. They push through, knowing that on the other side of fear is growth, progress, and opportunity. Most people don't realize how much they're holding themselves back. They have ideas, they have talent, they have potential, but they talk themselves out of taking action. They come up with reasons why it won't work. They tell themselves it's not the right time. They convince themselves that they need to wait for the perfect conditions. But let me tell you something. There is no perfect time. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be challenges. And if you wait until everything is just right, you'll be waiting forever. You have to take action before you feel ready. You have to take action even when you have doubts. Because the truth is, nobody ever feels 100% ready. The people who make things happen are the ones who start before they're ready. They figure things out as they go. They learn along the way. Some people wait for motivation. They think they need to feel inspired before they can take action. But motivation comes and goes. You can't rely on it. If you wait to feel motivated, you might never start. The real key is discipline. It's showing up, even when you don't feel like it. It's doing the work, even when you're tired. It's pushing through, even when it's hard. If you're serious about changing your life, you have to take action, especially when you're scared. Because the more you do it, the more you realize that fear is just an illusion. It's only powerful if you let it be. But the moment you take action, the moment you push forward despite the fear, you take back control. Number 6. How to keep going when you feel like quitting. When you're fighting for something you really want. When you're pushing yourself to achieve something important. There will always be moments when you feel like quitting. It's not a question of if it will happen. It's a question of when, and when it does, you'll face a choice. Will you quit, or will you keep going? Will you give up, or will you push through? And that decision can make all the difference in the world. I want you to think about the last time you were close to quitting. Maybe it was a project you were working on, a goal you were chasing, or even a personal challenge you were facing. You reached a point where it felt like the effort was too much. The setbacks were too hard to bear, and you just wanted to throw in the towel. It's in those moments that your true character is revealed. It's in those moments that you decide who you're going to be. I'm not going to lie to you. There will be tough times. There will be days when it feels like nothing is going right, when you're tired and frustrated, and when you feel like giving up. But I want you to remember something. Those tough moments don't last forever. They come and go. What matters is what you do when they show up. When everything in you says, give up, you have to tell yourself, not today, not now. The truth is, there is no magic formula to success. No secret path that's free of obstacles. There's no shortcut that will get you where you want to go without hard work, without setbacks, and without challenges. But what separates the people who make it from those who don't is the willingness to keep going when it gets hard. The winners are the ones who keep moving forward, even when it feels like they've hit a wall. Sometimes the struggle you face is the very thing that prepares you for the success you want. The pain you feel, the frustration you experience, it's all part of the process. It's part of what will make you stronger, more resilient, and more capable of achieving what you want in life. Every time you push through a tough situation, you build mental strength. Every time you overcome a setback, you grow, you become a better version of yourself. You might not see it in the moment. When you're in the middle of the struggle, it can be hard to see anything beyond the pain. But you have to trust that the struggle is necessary. You have to trust that it's not happening to you. It's happening for you. It's shaping you into the person you need to become in order to handle the success that's coming your way. When you feel like quitting, take a deep breath and remember why you started in the first place. What was it that motivated you? What was the dream or goal that made you take that first step? You didn't start because it was easy. You didn't start because you thought everything would go perfectly. You started because you believed in something bigger than the obstacles. You believed in the rewards, in the future you could create, in the person you could become. And that belief has to be stronger than your momentary frustration. It's also important to remember that the process of success is not always linear. You won't always go from point A to point B without setbacks. Life doesn't work that way. Sometimes you'll take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Sometimes you'll hit a dead end and have to find another way. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're learning. It means you're growing. And the key is to keep going, even when the road gets tough. There's a saying that I like to remind myself of. It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. Life is going to hit you. People are going to disappoint you. You're going to experience setbacks. But it's not about avoiding those hits. It's about how you respond when they come. Do you give up, or do you get up and keep fighting? There are moments in every journey when you're going to feel completely exhausted. You'll feel like you've given everything you have, and there's nothing left to give. But that's when you have to dig deep. That's when you have to find that extra ounce of strength. It's there. I promise you it's there. You just have to tap into it. The key is not to focus on how much you have left to do, but to focus on what you've already done. Look at the progress you've made. Look at the challenges you've already overcome. You've come so far, and you're closer to your goal than you think. Every time you keep going, even when you're exhausted, you move a step closer to that finish line. It's also important to remember that success doesn't come to the most talented or the most gifted. Success comes to the people who are willing to work, who are willing to show up, who are willing to keep going even when it's hard. It comes to the people who are willing to put in the effort, day in and day out, no matter how tired or discouraged they feel. Success is earned through persistence. And that persistence is what will get you to where you want to go. If you're feeling like quitting right now, I want you to think about why you started this journey. What was it that motivated you to begin? What was the dream or the goal that made you take that first step? Hold on to that. Let it fuel you. Let it remind you that the struggle is worth it. Let it remind you that the hard days are just part of the process. And let it remind you that you are strong enough to push through. Remember, the road to success is not for the faint of heart. It's not for the people who quit when things get tough. It's for the people who keep going when they don't feel like it, when they're exhausted, when they're discouraged. It's for the people who believe in themselves, who believe in their dreams, and who keep moving forward no matter what. So when you feel like quitting, don't keep going. You're closer than you think. The breakthrough is just around the corner. And when you look back at how far you've come, you'll realize that every moment of struggle, every moment of doubt was worth it. Because on the other side of all that hardship is the life you've always dreamed of. And that's worth fighting for. Number 7, celebrate small wins. They keep you moving when you're on the path to achieving something big. You might sometimes feel like your progress is too slow. You might feel frustrated because you're not seeing immediate results, or you're not getting the recognition you think you deserve. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that unless something dramatic happens, unless you have a big, bold win to celebrate, it's not worth it. But that couldn't be further from the truth. The small wins matter just as much as the big ones, maybe even more. It's those small wins that keep you going, that keep you motivated, and that keep you moving forward, even when the going gets tough. Here's something to understand. Success is not a single grand event. It's a series of small steps, small victories, small changes that add up over time. People who achieve great things don't do it in one giant leap. They do it by showing up every day and making progress. No matter how small, they celebrate the little wins because they know that each one brings them closer to their ultimate goal. Now you might be thinking, what do you mean by small wins? Small wins are anything that moves you forward. It could be as simple as getting one step closer to your goal. It could be as small as finishing a task you've been putting off, or learning something new that makes you better at what you do. It could be overcoming a small challenge that you once thought was impossible. These things might not seem like much in the grand scheme of things, but they matter. Every small win adds up and leads to the bigger victories you want. The problem is that many people ignore small wins because they don't seem impressive on their own. They want big, bold accomplishments, and they feel like anything less isn't worth celebrating. But I'm here to tell you that you need to change that mindset. Every time you move forward, even just a little, it's worth celebrating. Every time you make progress, it means you're on the right track. And those small wins, when stacked together over time, can lead to massive success. If you're building a business, you're probably not going to have a huge breakthrough in the first few months. But if you can get just a few new clients, learn something new about your industry, or improve your product or service, those are small wins that set you up for the bigger wins later. If you're trying to lose weight, the scale might not move as fast as you want, but if you make better food choices or exercise, even for just a few minutes more, those are wins. They all add up, and eventually you'll reach your goal. Small wins are the things that keep you motivated when things feel like they're moving too slowly. They remind you that progress is being made, even if it's not happening as fast as you'd like. You see, the journey towards success is long. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And during a marathon, every step matters. Every time you push through the urge to quit, every time you choose to keep going, you win. Every day that you show up and keep doing the work is a small win in itself. If you're struggling right now, I want you to take a moment to think about the small wins you've had so far. What have you done today that moves you forward? What small victories can you celebrate? Maybe you've been working hard on your goals, even though it's been tough. That's a win. Maybe you've learned something new that will help you get closer to your dream. That's a win. 2. Maybe you've made one small improvement in your daily routine, something that makes you more productive or healthier. That's a win too. Don't let yourself dismiss these small wins just because they don't seem important enough. The fact that you're still going, that you haven't quit yet, is a huge win. So many people give up when things get hard, but not you. You're still here, still fighting, still making progress. Every day that you keep going is a win. Every time you get a little better, even if it's just by a small margin, is a victory. And here's the thing, when you celebrate those small wins, it does something incredible for you. It boosts your confidence. It reminds you that you're capable. It shows you that you are making progress, even if it doesn't always feel that way. When you celebrate small wins, you also create momentum. You start to see that the little things you're doing are actually moving you forward. And that momentum is contagious. It makes you want to keep going. It makes you want to do even more. It gives you the energy and motivation to push through the harder days. The key is to stay consistent. It's easy to get discouraged if you're looking for huge results every day. But consistency is what leads to lasting success. And consistency is built on small wins. It's those little things you do every day that create the foundation for bigger achievements down the road. You may not be able to see it yet, but every day you put in the work, every time you push yourself, you're building something much bigger than you realize. There's a great quote that says, "Success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out." That's the truth. You might not see the impact of your efforts today or tomorrow, but if you keep at it, if you keep showing up and celebrating those small wins, you'll eventually look back and realize how far you've come. The key is to keep going. Don't get discouraged by the slow pace. Don't give up just because you haven't seen a big breakthrough yet. Celebrate the small wins because they're the stepping stones that will lead you to the success you want. I want you to remember something important. Success isn't just about reaching the destination. It's about the journey. It's about growing, learning, and improving along the way. Every step you take, no matter how small, is part of that journey. And every small win is a sign that you're on the right path. The more you celebrate those wins, the more motivated you'll be to keep going. So don't wait for some big moment to celebrate. Celebrate the small wins because they add up to something much bigger. You are doing the work. You are showing up. You are making progress, even when it doesn't feel like it. And that's something worth celebrating. Keep going. Keep moving forward. And remember, the small wins are what will get you to the big ones. Number 8. How to keep faith when nothing is working. There are moments in life when you feel like nothing is working. You're giving your best effort. You're doing everything you think you're supposed to do, but it feels like you're stuck in a rut. Nothing is moving forward, and the results you were hoping for seem out of reach. You start to question whether it's all worth it, whether you should just give up and move on to something else. But let me tell you, it's in those moments when you need to keep going, even if it feels like nothing is happening. We've all been there, right? You're working hard, day after day, and nothing is happening. It's discouraging, it's frustrating, and it can make you wonder if you're even doing the right thing. But the truth is, the breakthroughs you're looking for often come when you least expect them. When you feel like you've hit a wall, that's when your patience and faith are being tested. And when you stay strong, when you keep pushing, you'll see that all that hard work is actually building towards something incredible. What happens when nothing seems to be working is that you start to feel lost. You might wonder why you're putting in the effort if you're not getting the results you expect. You might begin to think that maybe it's just not meant to be, that the universe is telling you to stop. But I'm here to tell you that this is precisely the moment when you need to push through. It's the moments when it seems like nothing is happening that your breakthrough is closest. That's when your faith is tested, and when you have the choice to give up or keep going. If you look at the stories of people who have achieved great things, you'll see that almost all of them went through times when it felt like nothing was working. They faced challenges, they experienced setbacks, and they struggled with doubt. But what kept them going was their ability to trust the process, even when the results weren't immediately visible. They kept faith, they kept working, and eventually, everything clicked. You see, the results are not always instant. Sometimes, success takes time. There's a period of struggle, of doing the work, even when you don't see the rewards right away. And I know it can be tough. You might feel like you're walking through a fog, not knowing where you're headed. But I want you to remember that success doesn't always come on your timeline. It doesn't always unfold when you think it should. But that doesn't mean it isn't happening. It's happening in ways that you can't yet see. Imagine that you're building something. Maybe it's a business, maybe it's a skill, or maybe it's your personal development. Every day that you show up, you're laying down the foundation. You might not see the structure taking shape yet, but each brick you place is one step closer to your goal. Even when you don't see immediate progress, the foundation is being built, and it's getting stronger with each effort you make. What we tend to forget in moments of frustration is that every day you put in the effort, you're moving closer to your goal. You might not see the shift today, or tomorrow, or even next week. But if you keep going, if you continue doing what you know is right, if you trust in the process, the breakthrough will come. It always does. Sometimes the most challenging times are the ones that teach us the most. When everything seems like it's falling apart. When the results aren't showing up, that's when you learn the most about yourself. You learn how strong you are. You learn how resilient you can be. And you learn that you can keep going even when things seem impossible. It's in those moments that you build your character, your mindset, and your ability to weather any storm. Think about the times when you've faced challenges in the past. How many of those challenges seemed impossible at first? How many times did you think to yourself, "This is too much, I can't handle this"? But then you kept going, and you came out the other side stronger. You learned lessons that you would have never learned if everything had been easy. And now you're a little bit better, a little bit wiser, a little bit stronger. That's what happens when you push through the tough times. You might not see the results right away, but every step you take is building something inside of you. Now let's be clear. It's not easy to keep going when it feels like nothing is working. It's not easy to stay the course when everything seems to be going wrong. But that's when your true strength is revealed. That's when you see what you're really made of. And if you can push through during those moments, you'll come out on the other side with more than just the success you were hoping for. You'll come out with a mindset that can handle anything, a heart that's stronger, and a belief in yourself that is unshakable. When nothing is working, it's easy to fall into self-doubt. You start to wonder if you're on the right path. You start to question whether you're good enough, whether you're worthy of success. But the truth is, you are good enough. You are worthy of success. The only thing standing between you and your goals is your willingness to keep going. It's your willingness to keep showing up, even when it feels like nothing is happening. And I promise you, the moment you stop doubting yourself and keep pushing forward, everything will start to shift. Don't let the quiet times, the moments of struggle, or the periods of frustration make you give up. Those are just temporary. The breakthrough will come. Trust me, it always does. It may not come when you want it, but it will come when you're ready for it. So don't give up when things get hard. Don't quit when the results aren't showing up as quickly as you'd like. Keep showing up, keep believing, keep doing the work. And when your breakthrough finally comes, it will feel so much sweeter because you didn't give up. Number 9, your story will inspire others one day. I want to talk to you about something that's very powerful, but often overlooked, your story. I know that right now you might be feeling like your journey isn't worth sharing. Maybe you're thinking that your experiences haven't been extraordinary, or that they haven't gone the way you thought they would. Maybe you feel like you're not where you're supposed to be, or you're just not there yet, and you don't see why anyone would want to hear your story. But trust me when I say that your story will inspire others one day. I know it might not seem like it right now. You might not see how everything that's happened to you, the struggles, the setbacks, the days where you felt completely lost, could possibly be valuable to someone else. But the truth is, people need to hear your story because someone out there is going through the exact same thing. Your challenges, your pain, your perseverance, they matter. They have meaning. They have purpose. When you're in the midst of struggle, it can feel like you're the only one. It feels like you're walking through a dark tunnel with no light at the end. But let me tell you, there are others out there walking that same path, and they need to know that they are not alone. They need to hear that someone has walked through the darkness and come out stronger on the other side. They need to know that it's possible to make it through, even when it feels like you're facing an uphill battle. And that's where your story comes in. What I want you to understand is that your story isn't just a collection of things that happened to you. It's a message. It's a message of hope, resilience, and perseverance. Your story has the power to touch someone's life, to encourage them to keep going when they feel like giving up. You don't have to be a perfect success story. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be real. When you share your real, honest story, the good, the bad, and everything in between, that's when you have the power to inspire others. Think about the people you've looked up to in your life. Maybe it's someone who has achieved great things. Maybe it's someone who has overcome incredible obstacles. But I'll bet you that the reason you admire them is because of their story. The way they persevered, the way they didn't give up when things got tough. You didn't admire them because everything came easy to them. You admired them because you saw the strength it took to keep going, even when it felt impossible. And that's the power your story has. Your struggles, your challenges, your victories, they can inspire someone who's walking that same road. It's easy to think that your story doesn't matter because it hasn't been perfect. But I promise you, it matters because it's real, because it's raw, and because it's a story of someone who didn't give up. There are people right now somewhere who need to hear that someone just like them has faced the same struggles and still found a way to keep going. They need to hear that someone out there has been where they are, and it gives them hope that they can make it too. You might not know it yet, but you've probably already inspired someone. You've probably already shared a piece of your story, whether intentionally or not, that has helped someone else keep going. That's the power of vulnerability. That's the power of showing up, even when you don't feel like it. And the more you share your story, the more you give others the strength to do the same. You don't have to be a finished product. You don't have to be at the end of your journey to inspire others. Sometimes the most powerful stories come from the people who are still in the middle of their battles. I want to encourage you to start thinking about your story differently. Instead of focusing on what hasn't gone the way you wanted or the things you think you could have done better, start thinking about how far you've come. Start thinking about what you've learned along the way and how that knowledge can help others. Every single step you've taken, every setback you've overcome, every moment of doubt you've faced, it all adds up to something powerful. And it's a story that someone out there needs to hear. Your story is what makes you unique. It's what sets you apart from everyone else. And the more you embrace it, the more you share it, the more you'll see the impact it has. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be real and to be willing to share what you've learned with others. Because in the end, your story is not just about you. It's about the people who will hear it and find the strength to keep going because of it. I've seen countless people who have struggled with this same thing. They feel like they don't have a story worth telling. But once they start sharing, once they start opening up about their journey, they realize that their story is everything. It's what connects them to other people. It's what makes them relatable. It's what makes them human. And that's the kind of story that inspires others to keep going. Even when they feel like giving up, your story is not over. It's still unfolding. And every step you take, no matter how small it seems, is part of the bigger picture. You're writing your story every single day. And even though it might not always feel like it, your story is making a difference. Your courage to keep going, your determination to push through, is something that will inspire others for years to come. Number 10, the breakthrough comes when you least expect it. We get caught up in thinking that success has to come in big, dramatic moments. We imagine that the breakthrough is this massive event, the day everything just clicks into place, and we finally see all our hard work pay off. But I want to tell you something important. The breakthrough often comes when you least expect it. It's not something that you can always plan for, and it might not even look like what you thought it would. But when it comes, it will be because of the work you've done in the shadows, the effort you've put in when no one was watching, and the persistence you've shown when everyone else gave up. There will be times when you feel like nothing is happening, like you're stuck, like you're running in place. You'll look around, and it seems like everyone else is moving forward, achieving success, and getting the rewards you're working for. It's easy to get frustrated during those times. You might even wonder if what you're doing is worth it. You might question whether you're on the right path, or if you're just wasting your time. But here's the truth. Success is rarely an overnight thing. It's not like flipping a switch and suddenly everything works out. It's the accumulation of small steps, of consistent effort, of pushing through the tough times. And that's where the breakthrough happens, in the moments when you've almost given up, when you feel like you're not getting anywhere, but you keep going anyway. Sometimes it's the smallest changes that lead to the biggest breakthroughs. You might feel like you're not seeing progress, but deep down, you're growing. Your skills are improving. Your mindset is shifting. And one day, out of nowhere, something will click. The pieces will fall into place. And you'll realize that all the hard work you've been putting in has set you up for something amazing. It might not be what you expected, but it will be everything you needed. I know it's hard to keep going when you don't see immediate results. It's hard to put in the effort day after day and not know if it's paying off. But I promise you it is. Every small thing you do is building towards something bigger. You might not be able to see it now, but the work you're putting in is never wasted. The breakthrough will come, and when it does, it'll be because you kept showing up. You kept doing the work, even when it felt like nothing was happening. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that success happens in big, noticeable moments. But in reality, it's the quiet moments, the ones when no one is watching, that make the biggest difference. It's the hours spent honing your craft when no one is applauding you. It's the times when you push yourself to keep going, even when you're tired, even when you feel like you're not making any progress. That's when the magic happens. That's when the breakthrough is being built. I've seen it happen countless times. People who work day in and day out, putting in the effort without seeing immediate results, only to have everything come together when they least expect it. It's like planting seeds and watering them day after day, not knowing when they'll sprout, but knowing that if you keep at it, they will. The breakthrough is the harvest. It's the moment when everything you've worked for finally comes to fruition. But it's not going to happen unless you keep planting those seeds, even when you don't see the results right away. You don't need to see the whole picture today. You don't need to know exactly when the breakthrough will come. All you need to do is keep moving forward. Keep putting in the work, even when it feels like you're getting nowhere. Keep doing what you know needs to be done, because that's how breakthroughs happen. It's not in the moments when everything is easy and everything falls into place. It's in the moments when you've almost had enough, when you're just about to give up, but you push through anyway. That's when you'll see the results. That's when you'll realize that everything you've been working for has been building up to this moment. I want you to know that the breakthrough is coming, and it's going to be worth it. It might not come when you expect it. It might not come in the form you thought it would, but it will come. And when it does, you'll see that all the effort, all the times you doubted yourself, all the moments when you felt like nothing was happening, they were all part of the journey that led you to this moment. You were building something the entire time, even when it didn't feel like it. So don't be discouraged. Don't get frustrated when things don't happen as quickly as you want them to. Don't give up when the results aren't immediate. The breakthrough is coming, and it's going to be exactly what you need, even if it's not what you expected. Trust in the process. Trust in the work you're doing, and keep pushing forward. Because one day, when you least expect it, everything is going to fall into place, and you'll realize that all the effort was worth it. Remember, success doesn't come in one big moment. It's a series of small, consistent actions. It's the quiet work that nobody sees. It's the persistence, the drive, and the determination to keep going, even when things feel like they're not working. The breakthrough will come when you least expect it, but it will only come if you keep going, no matter how tough it gets. So keep showing up, keep putting in the effort, because the breakthrough is closer than you think. And when it happens, it will be everything you've worked for, and so much more.